Hello.
Hello.
Welcome,
Happy Friday.
everybody. Yeah, happy
Discussion.
Friday, for real. It has been one heck of a week, and I feel like it's been a minute since we've
It
had
has.
this
I
because
don't know
we
when
kept
our last
life
discussion was.
things kept happening, and yeah. So, but now we're here finally. Well, two of the three of us are here. Hand's okay. She just needed a rest night, so
Yeah.
don't worry too much about her.
She'll be
Um,
back eventually.
yeah, she'll be back next month, hopefully, if we can all
Maybe.
get our crap
No
together.
promises.
Yeah. But yeah, so tonight we'll be talking about mythology, which is our theme for May, even though it's June.
It's fine. We're only a
Yeah,
couple weeks off.
two-thirds is pretty solid. That's over half.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Let's say hi to some people.
Yes.
Lillian's here. Kelly's
Hello.
here. And Dylan's here. Thank you all so much for hanging out with us. It's
Yeah.
a very chaotic night, evening, time zone.
Yeah, I know it's late for you, so we always
Yeah,
appreciate you staying up for book club for us.
of course.
But yeah, it's gonna be an interesting night because in full transparency, I DNF'd my book for this month because I did not like it. So we might have to talk about some other mythology books in the meantime to
Yeah,
fill the
get up any
void of
mythology you have and give us your opinions on that. Because I read my book 10 years ago. I mean, probably not 10, more like 7, but...
yeah. So we're not as prepared as we could be, but it's gonna be fun because I feel like mythology is still a good topic. So
Yes.
it's gonna be quite a ride. I guess I'll put this up even though we probably don't remember spoilers.
I mean, I do, because
Okay.
I read, like, synopsises of book 2 and 3 to figure out where the story's going, because I've read the entire series. And like, there's still one thing that I don't know why it is happening, and it's bothering me, but no, Google doesn't know the answer to it.
Oh, that's odd.
I have to reread it, I guess.
I guess so. I
Oh!
am
Kelly DNF'd my book.
I am curious. I was gonna ask. One of my next questions was anyone tuning in if they read any of the books that we picked.
Oh yeah,
Um,
please do let us know.
yeah, I'm
Kelly,
always
why'd you
curious.
DNF? Give us your opinions. All spoilers allowed.
Yeah. All right. I guess for starters, we can just go over the books that we read or were supposed to read.
Yes. So before we do that, can I go on a little rant?
Yes.
Okay. So I read Starcrossed, which is the first in a supposed completed trilogy. And years ago, I got this really beautiful thingy thing, right?
Oh, it's
Great.
so pretty.
It is pretty, and it's hardcovers, and they have like no dust jacket, like it's like printed on there, type of hardcovers, right?
Love that.
I love that too. Anyway, that's great and all, but the author, Josephine Angelini, decided to write more books in the same world, and the publisher was like, what if we add it to the series? Even though it's set at a different time with different characters. I'm already like, this does not need to be in that series, make it a spin-off. But anyway, not just that, but they also only are doing paperbacks with the really ugly covers. They've now done new versions of the originals with the same ugly covers as awful paperbacks.
Can you pull up the ugly covers? I feel like I need to.
Yeah. I feel like they're probably a vibe for somebody, but just not me. You know, I hate them.
Maybe there should be a new category for book club is rate the covers. Should we make that a thing?
Yeah. So
I feel
the
like that's a
English
huge
covers.
thing.
I'm gonna show you the English covers first. They are beautiful. They are literally beautiful. Like I want these on my shelf so badly. They also only come as paperbacks though, and I'm a hardcover girl. But do you see this? There's like 3 more. Scion is book 4, then Timeless, and then Outcast or something like that. You can see them, right? They are very
Nice.
pretty.
Yeah. I like those. Yeah.
These are the new covers! What the fuck is that?
Ew.
What the fuck is that? I'm sorry? Nobody wants this! Nobody! And I understand the whole like face thing on the original. Yeah.
It looks like a crappy Wattpad cover that someone tried to make themselves.
Exactly.
And it,
colors, and every book has different colors, and it's not it.
Yeah, and the colors make it look like way too modern and like not like this is a fantasy book, right? So like it does not seem like that at all.
But look, there's a bust on it. Obviously, this is mythology. I hate these. They make me so furious. I'm sorry.
I'm not a fan.
No, me neither.
I can see kind of maybe what they were trying to get at, but it's like
it failed miserably.
Needs to be different, and the font needs to be different, and like there's just a lot that
yeah.
That's
so I'm still salty about that, and I haven't yet gotten over my pride and bought them because I obviously want to read the rest of the books. I love this series.
Yeah,
I loved it. So I'm like, I want to read these books. I love this author. She's one of my favorites, but like, I don't think I'm going to just because. Stick it to the publisher who doesn't care about me.
Yeah. I think it's extra disappointment after seeing your beautiful box set too.
Right?
Like, it's one thing if this was like the original cover and you're like, okay, this is just not it. But like compared to what it was.
Yeah. And I mean, it's obviously box set, so it's like made to look like nice in the thingy thing. But like the original covers, as you can see, like it's even they are pretty. I understand the whole like face on the book isn't really for everyone, but I think it's significantly better than the shit they came up with.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Okay. Well, that was my rant. Thank you all. Thank you, Logan, for agreeing with me on everything. I love you.
Should that be our first topic for book club from now on? Like, rate the cover? Should that be?
I think that would be a good start because that's the first thing you see it, right?
Yeah, I think that'd be fun. I'm gonna add that as a banner for next time, so I remember.
Thank you. Do you have anything to say about your cover?
I really like my cover.
It is very beautiful. Also, it's shiny. Is it foiled?
Yeah, this is like foiled. The rest of it isn't. And the cover and the title like are in the font and everything is what drew me because I found this at a thrift store.
Oh wow!
And I feel like when you're at a thrift store looking at books, you're like, oh, I don't know, like if someone got rid of it, like I don't know. You never know, and like sometimes you see stuff you recognize, but I'm like, I haven't really recognized this before, but like just from like the style and I was like, this seems like my kind of book,
so
I'll give it a shot. It was like $1 or some 50 cents or something. I was like, okay, I'll give it a shot. You know, good condition. So I think the cover for this is nice, but the insides are not. But that's I don't know if it's just because not necessarily a reading slump, but like it just wasn't it for me.
That's okay.
But, yeah. So yeah, no gripes with the cover. Just the actual content.
You know what? That's fair. Totally fair.
Yeah. All right.
Do you want to talk about it? Do you want to synopsis it? Read it?
Should I go first? I guess with that maybe.
I could also go first. Technically,
wait, who's
I'm YA. I'm YA.
Okay, so you should go first then.
Okay. So, as I said, it's been a while. I read this series when I was in high school, probably when I was like 16, 17, because a friend, that's no longer a friend, was then a friend, lent them to me. And I was like, okay, this is your favorite series. Obviously, I'm going to read it. I'm a reader. That's what I do. And so she lent it to me. And then years later, I got the box set for my birthday because I was like, I was still thinking about it. And so I was like, I need them because I really like them. Basically, we start off in the beginning of the first book, and our main character is called Helen. She lives on this very tiny island with her dad. Her mom's never been around, and everything's fine. You know, she gets a lot of attention she doesn't want, but besides that, it's fine. Until this other family moves there, and they're like a large family. They have like a bunch of kids and like cousins and stuff like that. And the first time she sees Lucas, he's love interest. She gets this sudden urge to fight him and attacks him. Like she literally cannot control herself. She attacks him, and she's like,
she just sees him and she's like, "Fuck
yes,
you."
I need to fight that bitch.
Did he say or do anything? He just
exists. He He just exists. And she's like, I have to fight him. And she's never, like, she's a pacifist. Like, she doesn't fight people, ever, right? But she sees him, she has the urge to fight him, so she fights him. And all of this leads us to find out that they are, like, the descendants of gods and goddesses. That were, I think, in this play of it, they are kind of the descendants, but they're also kind of reincarnations, so they have some powers. They're not those people, but, like, they all represent a specific person of past times. Helen possibly portraying Helena. Who knows? That's also really weird because her mom chose that name for her, but nobody else ever names their child that because they know it will come with a lot of bad things. Bad things like possibly, starting another war when they find their Paris. He's not called Paris, he's called Lucas, but finding their so nobody ever named their child Helena, but since Helen's mom wanted to protect her, she did it, and then she ran away to get distance. Her mom's called Daphne. And she kind of abandoned her and was like, "Yeah, you'll be fine with your dad. You called Helen. No one's gonna think you have any powers." How wrong she was. So this other family, they get there. Helen's all like, "What the hell's going on?" And they kind of, explain stuff to her. And she falls in love with Lucas, and Lucas falls in love with her. But obviously, they cannot be together because it will cause another Trojan War, and we don't. That can't happen. We don't want that. But it also turns out that everybody else that is not this family kind of wants to kill Helen because it would make them immortal. So every other descendant or reincarnation or whatever you want to call them is kind of out for blood for Helen. And so this family is like, okay, we're going to protect you. We're going to help you. We're going to teach you how to fight. We're going to, take care of you, basically. Yeah. It's really, really sweet. And so Hector is the cousin of Lucas, I think. And he's one of the best characters in the entire book. He kind of teaches her to fight, and she really does not want to. As I said, she's a pacifist. She doesn't ever want to fight anyone. And Hector's like, well, you gotta fucking fight. I'm not gonna pledge my life to protect you if you're not learning to fight. Like, what the fuck? No.
Yeah.
And so it's this really cute dynamic where she kind of gets somewhat adopted into the family, and everyone's really nice to her. Even, like, the other, like, woman. I think a lot of times in fantasy books specifically, when there's a beautiful, special woman coming in, there's a lot of jealousy from the others.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not that at all. Like, they're all nice and they're all welcoming and they're all loving, and it's really, really beautiful.
Aww.
And it unfortunately, all of their extended family and everyone else still tries to kill her, though. And that's what happens. I think there's like two major things that happen in this book. And by the end of book one, one of the people of the family unfortunately dies in one of those fights. And also Daphne, so her mom comes back and she's like, do I trust her? Do I not trust her? What is going on? And it's mostly set in our contemporary world, but they also go to hell sometimes. I don't know if they do it in the first book. I know a couple of characters do it, and Helen goes to hell in her dreams a lot.
Interesting.
I think she actually has to go there to complete a mission.
Okay. Do they make hell interesting, or do they make it like what you would expect?
It's really dreadful down there. Like, it's pretty awful. But
So
I mean, I guess it should be that way.
Yeah, so it sounds like it's a retelling of like the Iliad and like Helen and Paris, like, and Troy and all that. Yeah. Okay.
Pretty much.
Love that. I love that story, and I think that it sounds interesting.
It does. In book 2, there's actually another love interest popping on up to create a beautiful love triangle. Because Helen and Lucas can't be together, obviously, but It's good. I love this book. I think I gave all of them like 5 stars, maybe 4 stars, but overall this is like a 4.5 series for me. Solid. I really loved it. I think this also might have been my introduction to mythology, so like it's extra special to me.
Oh,
yeah,
that's so precious. Oh,
it is. I'm really due for a reread. I should have done it for the book club. I will. But yeah, that's me. That's my book. Tell us about yours.
Okay, so mine's The Lost Queen. I think we pitched it as new adult. And to be honest, I read like 100 pages of it. So like, it's not like I only read like the first chapter and gave up. Like I tried
How long is the book in general? Like 100 out of 300 or 500 or
500. So like
that's solid 20%.
Yeah, I'm like I gave it a shot, but the fact that I read the first 100 pages and like just was uninterested and could not tell where it was going at all. I feel like I was just confused the whole time.
Oh no.
So it is supposed to be like even this little tagline on the front is pitching it as like Outlander meets Camelot kind of a thing, like historical, like medieval, but with like a little bit of like fantasy and Arthurian legend kind of stuff, like King Arthur vibes thrown in there. I was like, okay, cool, that seems cool. Like, and that fits the myth and legend theme, you know? It's just, I don't know, man. All the characters, so just for starters, normally I love a good glossary.
Right.
But you start with a whole glossary of the people at the front before you even meet the people.
But it's in the back usually. Like you go back. Yeah, okay.
And I get that they were trying to be like I think historically accurate or inspired off of like some actual historical figures. But the names of this were just like I can't even pronounce her main character's name. Langorith is her name, and her brother's name is like Lailukin or something, and like they're interesting names, but like there's just so many like Celtic names, which I get that's their culture and everything, but it's just really hard to keep everyone straight because like their names just seem similar, and like you kind of just jump in like I don't know, like it was a little too historical and not enough fantasy for me, I think, and I was not like prepared for that, so maybe that was my fault of like mentally. Anyways, so the part I read at least. Oh, another confusing part is I could not, for the life of me, figure out how old our main character was.
That's odd.
think they chunk it up in time breaks, so I think the first part of the book I read, she's young, like maybe between like 10 and 14 years old, like in that range somewhere.
Legit child. Okay.
Yeah. So like really young, not just like teenager young, but like young, I think. That's the thing. I couldn't and it was just written in a way where I'm like, okay, she is a child and her and her twin brother, like their mom just died and they were like grieving and dealing with that and like hanging out in the woods because there's like a lot of like references to like druidic kind of practices and like magic, which was kind of cool, and like healers, and you know it's kind of alluded to that our main character like she might become a good healer because her mom was, and then this new mom figure kind of comes in. So she's the daughter of a king in this world, her and her brother, and their mom died, and it's kind of her rising to like fill that void at too young of an age kind of a thing, like having to mature and like be like I'm the lady of the household now, like kind of a thing. And then there's like all these wars and stuff going on, so they're like getting a lot of refugees in their kingdom and dealing with that. But again, there was no set like plot that I could see other than like this is just her like coming of age and growing into being like the queen and whatever. But like there was no, I don't know, in the back like they talk about like that she like there's like conflict and like lots of I don't know, lots of drama and like maybe like a love interest, but like because she's so young, like I never got to see any of that, and it kind of turned me off from it because I'm like I get that they're maybe setting the stage for something bigger later on, but it wasn't hooking me enough. I was like, okay, it's a little girl who lost her mom, and she was honestly like a little bit annoying. Like, and I don't, the author's writing style was just not it for me either. Like, it just felt very like showy or telling, not showing, kind of. Is that the right phrase? Like, it just felt like they were just saying everything quite literally. Like, there was no like. It didn't feel as creative as I wanted it to be. I don't know. There was just a lot of things that I didn't get enough of like the mythology and legend. Like there's a one guy that's like the Pendragon guy who I think is supposed to be connected to like the Arthurian elements, but like that it was so vague and like I don't know. it's just the combination of the writing style and like how the story started just did not do enough for me to want to finish it. So yeah.
That's fair enough.
Yeah, and
You
also
don't
not
have to
knowing
force
how old
yourself
she
through books
is.
just because they're book club books.
Right. Exactly. That's why I was like, do I finish this? Like, do I trek through? And I was like, no, this is not. I'm not. Every time I pick it up, I feel like I get more lost and confused. You know, like.
No, book club is supposed to be fun. I think we started this because we love reading and hanging out. I think it's fine.
Yeah. Yeah. And it just didn't help that I like couldn't, not knowing how old like the main character is too, just made it even more confusing. Like reading it of like, okay, how am I supposed to be interpreting these events and like the impact of them at her? Because I don't know how. Anyways, so yeah, no, I'm really not trying to throw shade to this author because I got there's a lot of good reviews on the back and people seem to like it, but it wasn't it for me. And I feel like if maybe you're more into like historical stuff, because that thing it did seem very like there was a lot of like references to like some other like noble in a neighboring kingdom like treated her servant badly and they're like you owe us 2 shillings or whatever. Like there's a lot of references to super nitty gritty like you know kind of like peasant and noble laws of the back in the day kind of a thing that I was like okay I don't know it's just sad because the cover looked so cool and then they were talking about like some of the cool like druidic healing stuff and like there's these people called the keepers that I was hoping to see more of but it was kind of like a back burner thing but again I didn't read all of it so maybe it does get better but the beginning was not enough of a hook to want me to get to that point either. So it's kind of disappointing because like it's been on my bookshelf for a while and like I did love the cover and the description on the back seemed okay enough, but it just
you can donate it to the same store you bought it at.
Yeah, I know. I'm like maybe I will. But yeah, like on the back in the description, it's like she finds love with one of the warriors and all this stuff, and I'm like, okay, that seems cool. Like, and like maybe she'll be like this badass like queen type, but that just wasn't there. So
yeah, but if it's not there in the first 100 pages,
right. And like there was I couldn't tell the plot either of like other than her becoming the queen eventually and like filling that role. Like that was the only predictable thing. Everything else I'm like, what is happening? Like there was so much like geopolitical stuff that was going on that I'm like, I can't keep this all straight. And like I'm trying to remember if there was a map. Yeah, I don't even think oh no, there was a map.
we love a good map.
It was just confusing. Like it's literally like Europe.
Wow, yeah, it looks very big. A lot of space.
Yeah.
Is all of that
and then like
relevant?
like the people at the beginning, like having to keep referring back, like who is that again? Or like I don't know. It just got confusing. And then there's all these like, oh, this guy is actually the like they treat him like their own child, but he's actually their like adopted kid or something. And like there's just a lot of like everyone seemed to be somehow kind of like related to each other or like not in a like how do I not in that kind of a way. Like everyone just seemed like a family or like I don't know. And then there's like it was just confusing. It was just not it.
That's okay. It doesn't have to be.
Yeah. So I don't even know. Like I'm not even getting a rating. I just a DNF in my book. So
very fair.
Yeah. Anyways. Age category, does it match?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, so they go to high school, and it's a very stereotypical high school. I feel like in a lot of the reviews that I read today, because I read a bunch of them, it's very much compared to Twilight, but, you know, Twilight ages out of the YA, whereas this it's such a short amount of time, it really stays in its YA lane. It's kind of, I read a review on it, compared it to a Twilight Percy Jackson mashup, and I feel like that's pretty spot on.
I like that. That's relatable too. Like I feel like everyone can.
Everyone kind of knows those two.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's great. Helen is a little bit self-centered in the beginning, but she is an only child to an only parent that's very focused on her. So I kind of get it. I get her. Yeah. But she does mature throughout the series and like age up, but not to where like she starts off as a kid and ends up as an adult. Like it seems very natural as a teenage progression.
Yeah.
And that's I think it's great.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't answer this because I didn't know the age of how old she was supposed to be in the beginning, and I like skimmed through it and I saw there were like, you know how it's like part 1, part 2, or whatever, and like time breaks. So I think she definitely gets older, but like I don't know the starting point, and even then I feel like because it's historical, like it's weird. Like I feel like she went from like being like 14 to 18 or something. But then it's because of it's trying to be historically accurate. I'm like, okay, being 18 like in the medieval times was like
midlife crisis.
Right. So I'm like I don't know. And just how it was written, I don't know. I didn't like the author's writing style. It was hard to pinpoint. I was like, I can't tell if this is like it didn't feel super adult, but it didn't feel YA either. It was just kinda like bland and there. I don't know. So I don't know each category what this is really supposed to be.
That's okay.
There's a weird scene where this guy just like murders a chicken in front of a child just to make her upset, and like that was weird. I don't
love
like
that.
So
Great
like
character.
it's a little graphic, but not graphic enough to make it like totally adult. So that's where I was like, I don't know what this is supposed to be. Like, I don't know. And there's even like, look, it's the book club favorite, and I'm like, who read this?
Whose book club? Not ours.
Yeah. Anyways, so I don't know. I don't know what this was supposed to be for each. Who the audience was supposed to be. Anyways. Mythology. Overall thoughts on
I have so many thoughts.
On how was in your book in general.
I think I have to get my favorite book though, because I already showed you. I pulled out a bunch of other mythology books, but it felt incomplete without having my favorite here. So.
Of course.
It is German though, so sorry. Oh shit. Sorry, I rearranged my room earlier today and there's stuff everywhere.
You okay?
So, I got the books.
You okay?
I'm fine. Okay. I just stuff is everywhere, but it's fine. It's fine. Okay. Where to start? I feel like there's mythologies that are significantly overdone, and there's also specific storylines of specific mythologies that are overdone. Like Hades and Persephone. Why do I own 3 retellings of Hades and Persephone? Why?
Because it's spicy and he's the god of the underworld, and I don't know.
No, see, I get
dark
that
and
Hades
mysterious and appealing.
Yeah, it's great for book talk, but also there's like how many more do we need this many? We really don't.
Yeah.
I also feel like Greek mythology is the most used mythology in return. At least the ones that I've seen and have, seen be popular. Yeah. But I feel like other are creeping up. Like one of my favorite German mythologies, not the one I'm going to talk about, but another one that was like Northern mythology, and I was like, I love this. This is great. Because it's so refreshing. Because I don't know how much you know about mythology, but I love mythology in itself. So I like learn about it without having to read a story, but then getting to see the story in it makes me happy because I'm like, I know this.
Yeah.
Yes. But it's great. I don't think I read as much mythology as like 16-year-old me would have expected me to, because man, was I that bitch. Ugh, I was that bitch. But yeah, every time I come across one that's like really good, it's really good. Speaking of really good, my favorite series is this one. It's a gem series. So I'm sorry, I didn't want to talk about it, but
No, talk about it.
I do need to talk about it because I think this combines so many things. This combines all different types of mythologies and stories. First of all, which is really great because so basically in this world, all types of mystical creatures and mythology people too have just existed and they're fine. Like, it is what it is. They're just part of natural everyday life. They're included in it. And there's this like group of people who make a lot of big decisions, but there's like people from all different mythologies in there. Like Thor's in there, but and there's also angels in there, and then there's how are they all called in English? Jesus Christ. Anyway, there's all of these people from all of these different mythologies working together, and it's so cool because you'd be like, okay, well, there's only one god of the dead, but there really isn't. Like, there's one in like every kind of sub.
Yeah, in every, I think pantheon, is that the word that you're looking for? Probably.
Possibly, yeah. Like, and I think this does such a good job of combining them without taking away. Because I feel like obviously when you're using mythology to fit your story, you have to like close your eyes really, really much into some aspects of the detail because you can't make it fit exactly how you want it, and so you have to like fidget with it and like let go of some ideas and change them and whatever. But I think when mythology doesn't change too much is really when the author is shining, and that's what they do in this one. The main goal of the entire series is to bring Atlantis back, because in this story it sank like 12,000 years prior, and this group of people that have a lot of power, they've been trying to find the 3 relics, which is this one, and then this one, like the 3 things on the cover.
Are these in English?
They are not.
How? No.
I don't know. I think she does translate them, but not all of her books are translated in all languages because she does do self-pub. So she only, like, when a publisher approaches her, she's like, yes or no, selling the rights. And I don't think she sold any English rights for this one yet. But if she does, I will let you know.
Boo.
I'm sorry.
It's kind of refreshing though, because I feel like everything's in English, and then it's like.
Yeah, it's kind of like our special little thing.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, I it's honestly refreshing, and it's good because I feel like I'm spoiled and having everything in English. So.
I feel like I should disagree with you on this, but I'm not going to because you're right.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, I don't. I'm like, we don't, especially us Americans, we don't need any more privileges and things catered to us. So.
Yeah.
At least with like media, like books and movies and TV shows and all that. Yeah.
I also think that mythology is like such a beautiful thing to introduce people to fantasy, because I feel like a lot of people read the Percy Jackson series as like a kid or teen, and that was like one of their big series or like defining moments in being a reader or not. But I think mythology lends itself so well for that as well. Because I just think it's A, so versatile, B, you can really make it fit any age category that you want.
Yeah.
And also, most of us do have some knowledge of it. I feel like it's mentioned here or there.
Or
like,
if you don't, then you can learn, and it's an outlet to learn
exactly
about fun fantasy stuff, but also like past cultures too. Like it's a win-win. Like it's
so cool.
Fictionalized, but it's also still kind of educational. Yeah.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
Sorry. You go ahead. Do you have
you're good. I love it. I agree with everything that you're saying. It's funny that you brought up Percy Jackson, because I feel like most of my friends and everyone I knew in school read it. I did not. I think I read maybe the first one.
I've also read the first one.
I read the Kane Chronicles instead, which was also Rick Riordan, but it was Egyptian mythology, and that was like one of my first like mythology books and book series that I read, and I really like those.
So cool that he does that.
Yeah,
because he does also all mythologies in different series, but they're still connected, right? Like they have overlapping characters and places, and
so I'm like, Egyptian mythology is super cool. I'm trying to think.
It is.
I know I really should have looked up some books before we had this discussion, because I knew there was some I was thinking of, and now I'm just totally blanking. But yeah, I think you're agreed with Hades and Persephone. I feel like that's like overdone,
Yeah.
and I would love to see. I know I need to read more non like Eurocentric mythologies. So like like African mythology and Asian mythology. Like just I want more of that, or even like Native American would be cool too. Like I have some books that I think touch on those, but I haven't read them yet. So because I agree, like Greco-Roman like pantheon is always the focus, but it's also what people know. But it's also like just because they know it, like we can educate people on other gods and goddesses and deities too.
Yeah,
So
I agree with that. I think it's also kind of fun though to see how different people take the same story and make it different. Like if we
yeah,
just compare these two, they're both spicy new adult retellings of
yeah.
Hades and Persephone. This is an entire series dedicated to them, and this one, only the first one is dedicated to them, and then the rest of the series continues on with different characters. And I've only read the first one in this, and I've read all three that are in this series. And I read this one first, and then I read this one, and I was kind of disappointed with this one a little bit. I don't know why. Um, but the more I think about it, the more I think I actually like this more than I do this. It's I don't know. I feel like they both have really good pros and really bad cons. Um,
Yeah, I read
this
A
one,
Touch of Darkness. I haven't read Neon Gods though.
yeah, like I don't know. In both of these, Hades feels quite similar though. Like Persephone, I feel like it's done differently enough that you're like,
Yeah,
okay, two different characters, whereas Hades is kind of like the same-ish.
yeah,
Because he's dark and he's mean, but he loves Persephone, you
yeah.
know?
And he's
He's,
secretly like not a awful person. He's just
yeah,
misunderstood or whatever. Yeah,
yeah. I know, I think it's interesting, but it's also like I think maybe I'm done with Hades and Persephone
yeah,
retellings for now. I already read one for the book club in the graphic
yeah. I
novel one.
remember that looks cute, and I feel like that's a little different just because it's a graphic novel. Yeah,
Yeah, that does make it different. I also don't know if that was my favorite portrayal of either of the characters. Something that I really liked about this one is how consent was mentioned, but I think that's a very Katie Robert, like the author thing, because she writes a lot of queer and like generally interesting relationship dynamics, whether
hmm
they're monogamous or poly or whatever, and she always makes sure that consent is given at any time. So
hmm
like Hades has a dungeon in all of these basically. But in this
of course.
one, he sets her down and he's like, okay, these are the things I want to do to you in my dungeon. What is cool with you? What
Yeah,
isn't?
yeah,
What is our safe word? The safe word is pomegranate, if you care to know. But like that was probably the most standout scene in this entire book where I was like, this is great. But that's not
yeah,
necessarily tied to the mythology. It's more of like the author, probably.
yeah,
I don't think the praise fits here, but I needed to give it anyway.
yeah, yeah. Just I don't know. Talking about like some of these past books, like King Chronicles and stuff. I'm like, ooh, should I go back and like
You
read
should.
those? Okay, what are your thoughts on? I feel like a lot of or mythology retellings are set in like a modern world, or like a fusion, like not necessarily our world, but like a hybrid of like it's our world but with like fantasy
Yeah.
people or what. So I'm just curious, like your thoughts on that, and like how you feel about like the modern twist versus I I feel like I don't see a lot of mythology retellings in like this, like in a more historical
Mhm.
lens. So I'm just
I think I like it because I think it makes it accessible. Anything that's written in a contemporary world that's like ours, I feel like makes it easier for people that are not as interested in reading or not
yeah,
interested in history or fantasy even to get into
yeah,
it. So I think that's a great angle. What pisses me off a little bit is that it's always the chosen one. I didn't know I was related to the gods. I didn't know the gods existed. I didn't know I had
yeah,
God, you know, that is annoying. But that's more of a gripe with the chosen one trope than it is mythology set in the contemporary world. I
yeah,
love when there's places that are still like in not in our world though, like hell, for example, where they go in their dreams and places. I like when there's still these specific places from mythology, or I don't know. I think in Percy Jackson they go to the Olympus, right?
Yeah.
Like when there's those places that that are still separated from our world, because they would be still. I love those.
Yeah.
But I think I'm fine with the contemporary, or like somewhat contemporary setting. I like to imagine that it makes people feel like it could be real.
Yeah.
And I
Or
think
like
that's also
secret
really nice
alternative universes, kind of like
I think
secret
that's fun to think about.
society. Yeah. No,
What do
I
you
think
think?
that's why I struggled with this so much, is because it was like so historical, and I'm like, this isn't even like fun, really. Like, at least for me, like for what I want out of like a
Yeah.
more fantasy kind of a book. But maybe I misinterpreted the description in the genre too. Like maybe it is more marketed as that. But
It
I
happens.
don't know.
I was just
Like,
trying
it
to think.
depends.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Like I feel like I like the modern setting, like contemporary setting, and like you said, like it's accessible and relatable and maybe more easy to read. But on the other hand, like, not to keep using the Hades and Persephone example,
No, I think
but
it's
like
good
it's
because we all
always
know.
like the young girl falling for the like ancient god or whatever, and I'm like, oh, or all powerful whoever, and I'm like, okay, I want to see more of like, can we see like a average dude falling for the badass ancient goddess? Like, I've never, like, that might be out there, but I haven't seen that. Right? Like, I don't know.
That would be cool.
So I'm always like, I think that's my frustration with it, is not necessarily the contemporary part. It's the like overuse of like the self insert of like the young girls going after the like dark mysterious deity men, like,
yeah,
which is, it's like, that is like, that's enjoyable for a lot of people. So like, I'm not dissing it. It's just like, I feel like there's so many myths and cultures and pantheons out there that it's like, can we expand it a little bit, or like change the story a little bit?
Yeah. No, I agree with that.
Yeah.
I was trying to think if there's any other mythologies, like story that I know that is more like historical, but I can't think of any.
Right? That's all. Like, it's so.
What about the Madeline Miller ones? Circe and Song of Achilles? I haven't read them.
I haven't read them either.
I have them though. Maybe the back of them will clue us in. Hold on.
I love that we're just getting a tour of all your books.
Pretty books. I can read it to you. I read it by myself. Which one do you want to hear first?
Either.
This was apparently shortlisted for the Women's Prize for Fiction in 2019. Who knew? Anyway, in the House of Helios, god of the sun and mightiest of the Titans, a daughter is born. Circe is strange, not powerful and terrible like her father, nor gorgeous and mercenary like her mother, but she has a dark power of her own, witchcraft. When Circe's gift threatens the gods, she is banished to the island of, I don't know how to pronounce this, it's an A-I-A-I-A. That's what the island's called.
Okay.
Make of that what you want. Where she hones her occult craft, casts spellings, gathering strange herbs, and taming wild beasts. Yet a woman who stands alone cannot live in peace for long, and among her island's guests is an unexpected visitor, the immortal Odysseus. How to pronounce? Odysseus? I don't know how to pronounce it in English. Is that how you pronounce it?
Wait, spell it?
Odysseuss.
Odysseus?
That.
Yeah.
Yeah. Your language is weird. For whom Circe will risk everything. So, that's that. This doesn't really tell us where it's set, though, except it's set on an island. So I'm assuming it's less...
Yeah.
City-esque, town-esque. Oh, okay. This one is apparent. Okay, this one says Greece in the Age of Heroes. So.
Okay, so it seems like on par with the historical timing.
Awkward young prince Patroclus has been exiled to the court of King. Oh God, all these names. Delos. Despite the difference, Peleus' golden boy, Achilles, befriends the Shame Prince. As they grow into young men, their bond blossoms into something deeper. Despite the displeasure of Achilles' mother, the sea goddess Tethys. Tethys? But when word comes for that Helen of Sparta has been kidnapped, Achilles must go to war in distant Troy and fulfill his destiny. Torn between love and fear for his friend, he goes with him. Interesting. You should really read them. I know they were really...
Yeah, I feel like people really like them. I see them all over like book talk and book recommendations and
Yeah, they have.
yeah.
You have a growing pile of books.
I love it though. Yeah, I'm trying to see. Like, I have some that are not necessarily like. I feel like this is different. Like, not mythology retellings, but like more like fairy tale or like lore and legend retelling. So like
Yeah.
I have like a Robin Hood retelling that I want to read that seems cool. So it's like I feel like the line is a little blurred. Like this one I was
Yes.
like King Arthur, does that count as mythology? Like 'cause that's that weird like it's medieval but not necessarily ancient, but also so like is it I don't know.
Yeah.
Count as mythology or more like legend fairy tale kind of this. So retellings, you know?
Yeah, I feel like it's whatever you want it to be, though.
Yeah. I feel like we kind of already touched on this, but just like
Yeah.
magic.
So a lot of the magic in the books is not like can cast spells or anything, but it's like superhuman strength or sight or being able to fly. One of the characters, actually, I think it might be the little sister or the little cousin of Lucas. She's an oracle and she can like see into the future. Stuff like that you more associate with mythology over
Yeah.
fantasy magic.
Yeah. Yeah, that's similar to this was like not as like super fantastical magic, at least a little bit I read. Like her twin brother, I think he could see like visions and like kind of see things before they happened. And it was hinting at that like deep connection to nature in the forest and like that she might become like a really talented healer or have maybe some little like special powers. Not like anything super crazy, but I don't know. So, but I again I didn't get that far, so it would have been cool to maybe see a little bit more of a magic twist.
Yeah.
But again, maybe there was more. I just didn't get to it.
Which is so fair.
Yeah.
You don't have to feel bad.
Okay, our favorite topic.
Okay, so not gonna lie, Lucas is kind of a... I refer to one of my main characters as white bread. He kind of is too. But he's so good and he's so perfect and he's so great and you're just like, what is your flaw? Where are the red flags? Why are you hiding them? But I mean, he just is like throughout the entire series. He is great. Obviously, when in the second book the other love interest comes in, like there's no chance in hell. They are obviously destined to be together, and they are obviously destined to not be together too. Which they obviously get around that by the end of book 3.
Yeah.
Like what?
Yeah.
Hi, Andy. Thank you for being here. Welcome. Let us know if you've read any of the books.
Or have thoughts on mythology. I was gonna say anyone tuning in, if you have like a favorite pantheon or mythology retelling or just anything related to this, I'd love to know.
Thank you for stopping by. Yeah. Where was I? Oh, Lucas. Okay.
Okay, so if he's that good, then why did she want to like destroy him when she first met him?
Oh, that was a curse that was put on her to protect her. That wasn't actually like her.
Okay.
And also in the series, there's like furies that kind of like take a hold of the people. Like at the end of book 1, Hector, I think, is fighting someone and kills them because they wanted to attack Helen, so Hector kills them. And then Lucas is possessed by the furies because he, wants to make it right, and they are like, this person has done injustice, you have to get him.
Yeah.
And kind of like that, it was also with Helen in the
Yeah.
beginning. Yeah. But I don't know, I think I don't know, Lucas is great. And now as a more reflected person and a more read person, I'm like, okay, he's white bread. But back then he was not. He was I loved him so I was also a little bit worried about him though, because one of my other favorite series, which is also YA, that I read like shortly before I read this one, in that series there's a love interest that is a very good guy and a love interest that's not such a great guy. And the not such a great guy gets the girl at the end, and I was like, "Oh no! If Lucas is so good, is he gonna get the girl?" You know, because I was
Yeah.
traumatized from the other series. But,
Hey, didn't you say there was another love interest that comes in later
book
in
two,
the
yeah,
series? What's his vibe and deal?
he's a friend. So like, I love a good friends to lovers. I do.
Same.
But also can like destined like fate mates is high on my list and friends to lovers. I'm sorry.
Okay. Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. So you're a Lucas stan, whoever the other guy in the triangle
I
is.
am a
Yeah.
very big Lucas stan. Well,
Oh.
yeah. Yeah. No, I think he deserves it. He's great.
Okay. And was their relationship like pretty balanced? You'd say like there wasn't like a weird power hierarchy or like oh she's
Ah,
I don't know. You know what I mean? Like with
yeah.
mythology, like I was saying before, like it always seems like it's like the one average person with the super OP deity person, or like
No, they're
maybe
both.
if she's supposed to be like Helen of Troy, like the most beautiful woman, like is she like supposed to be unattainable? Like is it and are they like
No,
actually a good match, you know?
they are a really good match. They are matched in a lot of the powers they have. You know, they are both like compared to other characters, they're both very strong and very powerful and very
Mhm.
beautiful. But in that, they are matched very well. The other characters are less so, but they do work very well together. I'd say they also complement each other in some ways. The thing that is a little bit mismatched is obviously his family because he has such a large family, and they know. Like he grew up with all the knowledge and all the you know,
Yeah.
knowing all the things, whereas she is the newcomer. She doesn't know any of that. But that is, like, I'd say broken up pretty well between all of the characters. It's
Mhm.
not just Lucas teaching her, as I said, like, Hector's teaching her how to fight, but then Adriana and whatever the Oracle's names are, like, they're all doing their part to teach her, and it's not Lucas having to be her teacher. Because I feel like that's always
Right.
a little bit weird. That is not really the case. I think
Yeah.
she's kind of adopted into the family, and then they also just kind of, date. And everyone's like, you can't date. And they're like, but we love each other.
Yeah.
You know?
The forbidden love. Tragic. Yeah.
And good forbidden love.
Yeah.
You love to see it. It's
Yeah.
like what can I say? Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I think they're great.
So we stand him. We stand.
We stand up
Even if he's a little basic, we stand.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with being basic, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't even know if I think there was eventually going to be a love interest in my book because they said she fell in love with one of the warriors in the back cover, but I didn't get there, and I skimmed through it, and I like it didn't seem nothing seemed that interesting or special about in it. So sorry. I feel like I don't want to like. I always feel bad because I'm like, there's a person who wrote this, and this is probably their like pride and joy. So I always feel bad like not liking a book. It just wasn't for me. But
Yeah, which is fair enough. We're not
no
doing this
shade
to
to the
review books for the
author.
authors.
Right.
We're doing this to talk about books because we love doing that.
Yeah. Um. Final topic. Do you have a favorite character or
Yes,
quote or
Hector.
scene? Hector?
Hector. I love this dude. He's rough, obviously, and like
I feel like he's
he
always fun and like what isn't there like the Troy movie? Like he's great and like there all the tellings of that, like he's always like yeah, Hector's the like he's the man, he's the dude. Like
he is. Like the only reason the family moved was because Hector disagreed with someone and then almost, beat him. Like he did beat him. It almost
yeah.
went too far with the beating. So they had to move. So Hector's the only reason all of this happened to begin with. But I don't know, I feel like he's not a mentor character, obviously, because they're almost the same age. But he is a teacher character that she can trust, and that's not just her teacher, but also her friend. And I love him so much. As I said at the end of book 1, he is the main character. He kills the cousin that goes after Helen. He is the one that gets him, and then he gets beaten up for it. It's so unfair. So unfair. He does make it, obviously, but like the last scene, that we see before the last scene is like him being carried away, beaten up, and you're just like, oh, Hector.
Oh.
And as for a favorite quote, I did have one. Hold on, I started a review earlier that had some. It's obviously between our two lovebirds. Not this one. Hold on. Sorry, I should have kept it up, but I didn't.
Oh no, you're good. I'm just skimming through what I read to see if I
think it was this one. Yeah, okay. Here. Okay. This is probably very cliche, but like 16-year-old me? But it was, them talking about how they obviously can't be together.
Mm-hmm.
And then I go. She says, and if they still want to separate us after something happened, he's like, then we run. He said his voice low and even, and she then says they'll chase us, and then he's like, well, we will outrun them. It's so pathetic when you think about it, but like it's so sweet.
That's cute though. Oh.
I stand Lucas. What can I say? He's everything. And so's Helen, by the way. But it's told from her perspective, so I'm obviously standing him.
Yeah. Did they ever switch point of views?
Not really. So you get a couple of chapters that are like, or like scene bits that are like from the antagonist's point of view.
Okay.
And I think later on, maybe in book 2 or 3, you get a couple more snippets from different points, but it's mostly really told from Helen's POV.
Okay, gotcha. I didn't really have a favorite scene or quote, but I there was one character, at least in the first part, that I liked initially. Again, I don't know, maybe she secretly turns into someone evil, and by the end, I don't know. But in the first 100 pages, so like I said, our main character, she's like the daughter of this king, and like they were taking in a lot of refugees from all the battles and war going on. And this woman, I think her name's Arian or something like that.
Pretty.
And she like shows up and is just very like, I'm about business. Like I'm gonna take care of these people who are injured and like give people orders and like, and basically saw and it like, okay, this young little girl, she's like the lady of the house, and she's like, they need me. They don't have a healer, and she basically was like, can I be part of your like can you basically hire me and I'll serve you if you give me like food and a place to stay or whatever, like, and she's just very assertive and like knows what she's doing, and she's like one of these like keeper druidy people, and I don't know, she was just really cool, and I was kind of excited. She was the only character that really intrigued me in all of this. But it was obvious that she was going to become like the mentor and maybe like like maybe a little bit of a motherly or older sister figure to our main character. I don't know. I just appreciated that she was like no nonsense, like, and saw an opportunity for success and like was like, I'm gonna, yeah. So she was probably
Yeah.
my favorite character, but other than that, there wasn't really anything that stood out too much for me.
Apparently the other love interest is called Orion. Evander. Evander's the main character in My Whip. I was like, where have I heard this name before? Apparently, I've hit it here. Things you do unconsciously, right?
Did you secretly have that like in the back of your brain?
I kid you not, I read that earlier and I was like, I had a moment to myself where I was like,
You were like, wait.
I did that? What? Yeah. I also, getting back to characters, her best friend, she's called Claire. She's really sweet. I don't know why, she's literally the only one that's mentioned, like, appearance-wise. Like, she's Asian, apparently, she's Japanese. Literally the only time any character is ever given any type of, like... Anyway. She is really cute.
I hate that when it's like the tokenized best friend sidekick. Oh, I don't like that.
No, but I do like the character itself.
No,
Claire.
yeah,
she's really sweet.
Yeah, I just hate it when it's like conveniently like, oh, it's only mentioned with this the best friend sidekick person, like,
because apparently Claire knew all along about Helen's powers. Because okay, this is really weird, but apparently when they were kids, there was this like adult dude that was coming onto like child Helen, and she used her powers to like get him to fuck off. And Claire remembers that, and like Claire's like, obviously you have powers. Like, what? Yeah, we've known this, obviously. And Helen's like,
wow,
what? So,
leave it to the best friend to be like, I know you better than you know you, and that's why we're friends.
that is Claire, and I love her for it. She's great.
Oh, cute. Anyways, that was the last topic I had, so I don't know if you have anything else you have to add. Final thoughts. Mythology, your book.
I have a lot of thoughts, but I don't know how to articulate them properly. I love this book, and I should have reread it, but I will probably do it sometime.
Wait to fully reread it when you're ready and there for it, you know?
Yeah, that is such a big point too. I don't know, I think this was really well done, but I also might have some unrealistic, like, love for it still lingering. Because, you know...
Right. Well, because is it nostalgic for you too?
Very much.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this has, like, it's been out for a decade, and this was also her debut, I think. Like, she debuted with this book and this series, and the other series that she wrote after is one of my all-time favorite series. Mm-hmm. So I can see how she's improved since then, but even this is, like, in my humble opinion.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I'm really excited that there's more books in the series, but I'm still too salty to ask again in a year. I've probably given it.
Okay. And you said that like they should be spin-offs, but they're not. Is that what you said?
Yeah, so they are, as I said, like this was set in the now then, like 10 years ago ish. I guess. When did this come out? 2011. Yeah. So a little bit nope. But I think these are set at specific times with the specific characters. Hold on. What's Amazon got to say? Nothing. Amazon's loading. That's what it's got to say. Yeah. Okay, so Timeless is actually book 5. And not book 4. I thought Timeless was the 4th, but apparently the 4th one is Scions, and then Timeless, and then Outcasts. And I think they also are different. Like, not the 3 of them follow the same storyline. Hold on. Scions, New York City, 1993. It wasn't Daphne's choice to move into the heart of a struggle that has been secretly waging for 3,300 years, but not much in her life has been up to her. Fate has brought Daphne, daughter of Zeus, and heir to the house of Atreus, to where the descendants of the Greek gods can shed blood over her once again. Blah, blah, blah. So this is about her mum. Daphne's her mum.
Yeah. That's kind of cool.
It is. Let's see if Timeless then moves on from there. Or if that is different too. No? Okay, hold on. It says a fate avoided. After successfully using a clever bit of trickery to avoid all-out war with the gods and defeat Zeus, Helen sets out to enjoy her final year of high school with Lucas and her friends. So this picks up after the third book in the series? What? But happily ever after at Luta, Zeus has found a way to strike back at Helen from prison, blah blah blah. But Helen's okay. So book 5 then comes back to Helen and Lucas. What is book 6 then? Oh, okay, this isn't out yet. This is about Daphne and Ajax again. What?
So just bouncing around.
I hate this.
That's
Because
really
this
confusing.
is also back to like 1993, like back in New York.
Yeah.
It's like,
That's so confusing. It's like, can you just make them 2 separate series, or like?
yeah, I am.
Unless they
this is
really
stupid.
like play into each other, like the context and backstory is important for.
I mean, I'd assume they do, but why do 3 Helens, Daphne, Helen, Daphne, and not do like Helen, Helen, Daphne, Daphne?
Yeah, I don't know.
You need the context of Daphne 1 to understand Helen 4. Like what? I don't know. Now I kind of want to read them though to see how that works out.
Yeah.
Ah!
Series are weird, man. That's why I applaud you that you wrote a series, and because I don't think I could do it. Like I could do like
hard, as long as you get to make all the decisions.
no, I know, but I feel like planning and making sure that it's like cohesive and like the plot points all make sense and everything. I don't know. Like I've decided, at least with my writing, like doing like a like companion books are fun, where it's like there's a different main character, but maybe it's in the same world, because I'm like I like the world, but I don't know if I necessarily want to follow the same person and have to worry about a plot that makes sense through several. I don't know.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I love a good series.
Yeah.
But I feel like there's authors and then there's authors that like plan the entire series before writing it. Then there's
Right.
authors that write and publish a book and then write and publish the next one.
Yeah.
Which that is fucking crazy to me. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No.
What if you need to
actually,
change
same.
something?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, I read the Marionettes for the book club a while back, and the 4th and final book in that series is coming out in like September, something like that. And the author does that. Like, she writes a book and then publishes it and writes it and publishes it. And I'm just like, oh. But I'm also so like interested to see how it ends.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. Do you have final thoughts on mythology, on your book?
Don't like my book, but I like mythology.
Yeah.
How about that? I would be interested to redo this theme and topic when Han can join, and also maybe pick it. At least I would maybe want to pick a different book. Would be fun, or like maybe even picking a specific pantheon. Like, oh, we're gonna only read like Egyptian mythology books, or like Japanese mythology, or whatever. You know, like whatever we decide on. I feel like that could be cool too.
Yeah,
Like,
we should just have it mythology month every May, because May,
yeah,
or March, but like have it a different one every year.
yeah. I think that could be really fun, and then help narrow it down a little bit instead of me just picking a random book that's been on my bookshelf for too long. And I, no offense, can see why someone maybe donated it. Anyway, to the
The shade.
I'm throwing so much. I feel like this is the most shade I've thrown.
You're usually
in
very
this book. I'm
kind.
usually very kind, yeah. Because I've been really lucky that all my books so far that I've picked have been really good, most of them. So
It's okay.
I was due for one that I didn't.
Yeah,
like.
you can't always
like every book. Yeah. Anyways, any more things before we announce? I mean, people do know what we're doing next month, but before we announce it again,
No, I don't even know what I'm reading next month.
I can at least put up the theme. Drumroll. Also, next month is technically June and July combined, but we do know next month is already July, so it'll probably be our next discussion will probably be end of July, early August, I'd imagine. Just with how things are going, I feel like our
trying our
schedule's
best
just been
friends.
pushed back just a little bit. But yeah, our theme for next month is pirates, which I'm really excited about.
Same. We will be reading The Girl from Everywhere, Storm, and Child of a Hidden Sea.
Yes, and that's on our Instagram, and I'll also be posting. We did like a quarterly, like here's our upcoming books, but I'm going to be making another post soon with the specifics. But I'm excited.
Me too. Pirates, I feel like, is such an underrated thing. Like, pirates are everywhere in, like, movies, but in books, there's not as many.
No, I don't think I haven't read a pirate book in a long time, so I'm
I
excited.
read one, like, 2 years ago, 3 years. It was actually Serial by Brittany Wang, but that's YA, and I didn't have the YA pick, so I couldn't reread it.
Mm.
It was really good.
I read one a while ago, like, because I did fencing as a sport, like in school and in college and everything. And there was like a book, I think it was called Steel, and it was like a girl who was a fencer, but then she got transported back in time on a pirate ship, but she had like fencing sword skills, so like she could. It was
so cool.
Yeah, and it was like pretty cool. It was a good. I remember really liking it, but again, I'm pretty sure it was like YA, and I was like probably middle school or high school when I read it. So like again, with that lens of like what I thought was good then would probably be different than what I thought was good now. But I think that was like piratey too. So, anyways, swashbuckling adventure next month.
Grab yourself some ale and get on the ship.
Yeah. Oh, that would be fun. Should we get some? Sing some
I don't know
pirate
if you can handle
sea
drunk
shanties and get some grog and like
That would be great. I would
go
love
all
that.
out. Yeah.
One of us can have like an eye patch. One of us can have a.
I know, like should we
pirate.
dress up like like a little bandana or like
Yes.
Let's like the old timey like white piratey shirt. Like you could.
We should totally do that.
Do some earrings, like a good parrot on your shoulder.
I love it. 10 out of 10.
Anyways, I hope people can join us for Pirates next month. It should be a fun time. But oh, and we should probably announce, since it's almost the end of this like quarter or whatever, right? Like we should announce
the books for the next quarter, eh?
Yeah, because we, as everyone can probably tell, we're so planned and prepared right now. But glad everyone's bearing with us and hopefully enjoying some of our themes.
It'll get better.
But, yeah, we'll see. I mean, I feel like we've always been like.
Yeah.
It should be like the
Ups
Tome
and
Traveler.
downs.
The Tome Traveler roller coaster is really what it is. It's like some months are really on it, and some months it's like this one.
I mean, let's not talk about what happened to Steampunk.
Oh yeah, I'm like that was the low. That was the lowest of the low. Was that supposed to be April? Anyways,
April wasn't a month.
No. Anyways, I like the idea of redoing, or not redoing, but like doing mythology again.
Mythology May.
Yeah. Or Mythology March. We could just do both.
Oh, what if we battle it against each other?
Oh. Make it okay.
Well, we'll think it through.
Yeah, we will. Anywho. Alright.
We're gonna go.
Yeah.
Thanks for hanging out.
We'll see you next month to talk about pirates.
Who knows? Maybe. Bye.
Maybe. Bye.